We have a viewer and a like already. That's nice.
I liked it.
You liked it? Good damn it. Are you the viewer?
No.
No. Okay, so someone's viewing. Hello. Sorry I missed the stream yesterday, guys. There was group calls and stuff happening, so I didn't want to stream with all that in the background. It'd be a bit rude. So yeah, we'll hopefully be kind of going a bit further on this guy tonight. So I worked on this guy yesterday and the day before as well a little bit. So there's a couple extra hours that haven't been streamed. I'm pretty sure this is where we left off. So we had a basic hair texture in place. We had put some debris in the fur, but that's kind of where it ended. Also, let me know if the audio is okay, because I'm having some issues. Like when I started up OBS today, it's the microphone had changed settings, so I don't know if it's entirely correct. But yeah, so this is where we're up to so far. Or this is where we're up to in the stream. I then added some leaves in the foreground, which it's possible this is where I left the stream. I can't entirely remember, but I think this is where I left the stream, to be honest. So added some more leaves in the background to make it a bit thicker. Added some basic glowflies. These are really quite simple geometries. It's just like almost B-shaped geometries with a glow shader on them. Nothing special. A little bit of motion blur for this guy, but I'm going to move him. And then some foreground leaves. And then darkened the foreground leaves by putting them in a light blocker. So there's like a cube around the camera and these leaves to really block all the light from hitting them. I also kind of increased the focus range, so it's not as out of focus in the background and foreground. Because I was completely losing these leaves in the foreground. There's like blurry messes rather than, this feels like it's leaves at least. And then the last thing I did is I've posed the model. I literally just grabbed it and moved it around. I didn't do anything special. Didn't take the groom out of the scene. I just did a super hacky, grab the body with soft select on, turn it, made sure I didn't affect the head. Just kind of moved the arms and all that sort of stuff, and did a little bit of guide fixing to compensate. So the guides obviously were completely broken in this area, so I've fixed all that sort of stuff, but I've not done anything really too complex. Pretty much everything I've done is just add more leaves, add glowflies, twist body, and add a light blocker around the body, around the foreground. I did reduce it slightly for these renders, just because it felt like this is just too dark. But yeah, I've also got this. This looks like an artifact, which it may well be. This is actually a branch from a tree in the foreground that's just out of focus in a way that kind of causes leaves behind it to be doubled up. It's really weird. Maybe that's how it would work in real life, but I don't know. I don't have any reference for that. But yeah, so I also put like a sky-colored card behind the leaves. But yeah, so I did a fair bit of work off stream, but it's not night and day differences. It's pretty simple, to be honest. So in terms of what I'm going to do today, I'm hopefully going to finish the image. I hope. This is a paint over I did, just to kind of figure out the final things. I got a message from one of my old housemates with a really nice idea, which is getting reflections in the eyes. So if we put some little reflections of these glowflies in the eyes, that'd be quite nice. I don't think it's worth spending the time to do that in 3D, because getting this strong reflection would require really making these bright, and I don't want the face to be glowing green. So I'm just going to paint them in, or comp them in at the end. I need to move this glowfly to here, just to fit this reflection. It's also a bit more interesting. I've painted the mouth a little bit more open, which again I might just do in painting again, because I just don't want to spend that long modeling. I've really starting to reach limits on this project now, where just like I could spend the time to fix all these things, or I could just paint a black line. Since I'm reaching that final stage, I may as well just paint a black line. But yeah, so I plan on just moving during this session, moving this guy over, maybe addressing the lips. But the main thing that I want to change is we got kind of the length of this fur in this region. If I go back to renders, it just doesn't feel right. I reached out to my old boss from when I was in Groom, and he gave me a few notes. I've worked on a couple of them, but this one I haven't addressed yet. So I just need to make this a bit longer to kind of feel more like this, because this feels a lot better than this. But they actually have the same modifiers, so they shouldn't be different. It's just purely hair length that's making that look different. I also want to fill this gap a little bit, because...
weird chunky ear.
Pardon? Yeah. I want to fill this gap a little bit just to make that feel not as dark. This side is fine, but this one not as much.
It's like
this guy. Yeah, it's weird how this side works and this one just doesn't.
Right. This one's hidden.
Yeah, well, this one's like in shadow, isn't it? So.
Yeah, I think the light's picking up.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so hopefully fix this today. I need to add something on this side of the screen, I think. If anyone has any ideas what to add, I'm thinking like a fern type plant.
Scary mask.
Scary mask. I'm thinking like a fern type thing, like a nice little curly shape here. I did draw that in one of the older paint overs that I did. Let me just... Is it this one? No. Is it this one? Nope. It's not this one, I don't think. Oh no, it is. Cool. Yeah, so there's something there to kind of pull this side of the image in. And I think these these blue glows kind of add something, but I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to get those because the background isn't out of focus enough to cause this. And I don't want the background to be that much more out of focus than it currently is. So I think this is just something where I either have to paint it or comp like some bokeh in. You'll probably find some free photography online of bokeh that's like this. So yeah, so may as well get started. I'm going to work primarily on that kind of front neck section. Before I do that, I'm going to show kind of the scene setup now because it's changed a little bit. So yeah, we've got a super basic pose in the model. It's really hacky. You don't see the elbows, so I didn't worry about how they're deforming. But I literally did just go around soft selecting and rotating parts of the mesh. It's super hacky, but it works. And for a project like this, where it's never going to even be a turntable at this level, it's just going to be the head that's shown. I don't really need to worry about that. Other than that, we've got the leaves, which are now merged as one object because it was getting too heavy without it. I've got a little plane back here, which just has it's the fake sky geo, and it's literally just a ramp on it that kind of does like a skybox type effect behind the leaves. We've got the foreground, which has this light blocker. It's just a geometry with the front cut out, and it's got a Pixar black material, basically a surface shader that is called black. And then we've got some foreground stuff in front of the camera. The camera's around there somewhere. Where is the camera? Apparently I can't select it. Where is it? The camera's not in here. That's super weird. Oh, it's in render group, of course. Render cam. There it is. There's the camera. I did try doing environment volumetrics as well, but I just figured for the added render time it just wasn't worth it. And the final thing to show, I guess, is the glowflies. Literally just, I haven't even sorted out the normals on them, but you can't see them anyway. But I literally just got a cube, smoothed it a few times, stretched it out, and then added some bevels to get this sort of shape. But yeah, so let me just select all these guys actually. Then go into mesh display, set to face, not soften edge. Oh, maybe that will work now. Yeah, it works. And yeah, these have a super basic material on them, which just goes in, and it don't think it has diffuse or reflection or anything. It's purely a glow, which is set to a gain of 5 so that they actually emit some small amount of light. Other than that, it's all pretty much exactly where I left it. So nothing technical has changed. It's just kind of shifting things around that already exist. But yeah, so let's going to try to increase the length on the neck, see if that helps. So I'm going to hide a lot of this stuff. There we go. And let's go into XGen, show the neck group. So apparently got some issues. Because I've not been working with a clean pipeline, things are starting to break now in some scenes. So I'm going to have to like monitor and fix things as I go. Let's go to the head. Yeah, so we're starting to get somewhere interesting. So let's make this longer. That's for the neck. And for now, let's just grab them and scale them. So let's scale about that much. Because that might be all it needs. It genuinely might. Like, obviously, I'll have to fix intersections and stuff now. Did that update? that works a little bit better. So let's do some guide work to fix those straight lines, because they're looking pretty horrible. I just need to check the inside of the mesh. Looks like the inside of the mesh is fine. I was looking for guides that have kind of gone inside. The roots are pretty close, but not close enough for it to be an issue. Do I not have a display layer set up for the body? Apparently not. So who's watching at the moment? Out of interest. Right, he needs to be selected. Yeah, definitely. Xgen, where are you? So I just need to organise my desk a little bit, get a bit more room. Got guitar picks all over it. There we go. So So scaling it might not have been the right idea, but it's good to check. We need to get some interesting flows from the side view though. Do stuff like that. Oh. Obviously, because the mesh was just deformed without really worrying too much about the underlying geometry. We are going to have some issues in areas like this one. Like really, if I smooth this out, I'd have a lot more control, but at the same time, it might give me some interesting shapes, so I'm going to keep it as it is. If anyone has any questions, again, I don't really know who's watching right now, but if anyone does have any questions, do let me know. What should we be doing? That? Do something like that. To flatten onto the body a little bit as well. Yeah, hopefully doing this should recover some of the layering of the body, of the neck, which will make it hopefully feel more like the top of the head. There's a few other notes that I got when I sent them off, a few of which I won't really be able to do. So one of them was like thinning out the top, making it feel less solid, but whenever I thinned that out, it kind of got rid of the texture that I really like. So it's kind of the lesser of two evils is keeping that solid feeling to it. So that's something I'm going to keep with. I do need to find a way to make the inside of the ear more interesting. That was one of the notes that I got I completely agree with. So I also need to fix some intersections. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. And then blending into the face is something I'm going to stay away from just because I've already got like something there, but I don't want to pull it all the way forward. Let's see how that looks from camera. Let me just alt save this. Put that in RenderMan viewport. It's taking its time. Oh, something I forgot to do actually. As always, this is the concept I'm working from. I have strayed away from it at this point, like the body I've made a lot longer and that sort of stuff. This also turns out this thing's got the body of a bird, which I'm obviously not doing. So I'm kind of playing about the composition to get a bit of a different feeling. But yeah, it's like, it's really cool. The first line of the description of this video is a link to the artist portfolio. It's by a guy called Sam Rowan. So I recommend you check him out. That was a lot of typing for the word hello.
Did you read the next bit?
No?
Is it not popped up yet?
No? Oh, there we go. I will start the conversation. Yeah, the chat's really dead today. I think it's because this project's kind of run its course. Like, I think everyone's getting less interested in this now.
Me included.
Yeah, no, me included, definitely. Apparently the RenderMan viewport's broken. That's why I'm hoping to kind of move on to the next project.
Yeah.
Is like there's a bit of what's the word? A bit of fatigue with the project. I've noticed on the posts as well, they're getting slowly less of a reaction. So people are stopping caring, which is fair because I've been working on this thing for a month now. Posting about 8 times, I think. Come on, RenderMan. Maya's died. Rest in peace, Maya. Start a new one. Set affinity. While that loads, the next project I'm going to work on, during one of the other streams, when I was searching for reference of twigs, found out about the artist Twigs, and there's a really interesting picture of her from one of her album covers, I think, a song called Cellophane.
Twigs.
Yeah, FKA Twigs. I really love this image. Want to make my own version of it. I say own version, I want to replicate it as close as I can. It's completely out of my comfort zone. I don't do photorealism in modelling and look dev. I'm really bad at female, I'm really bad at likeness. So this is like the perfect storm of shit that I can't do. So I feel like it'd be a good project to kind of learn and test. I'll be able to get something that looks okay, but I don't know how good the final results will be. So I'm kind of eager to find out. Right, let's try a IPR this time, because the viewport crashed. And we'll see how the body compares in this one. think tomorrow. If we do finish this tonight, then tomorrow I'm going to spend it kind of comping the final image itself, because I will be needing to do a full final render 32-bit, so I can actually comp it and do like proper glows and stuff, because at the moment I'm just painting with a soft brush. It would be good to use Nuke, or I guess Natron, because Nuke is overpriced. So I'll just use Natron to kind of add some nice glow effects, and maybe, you know, take that comp and paint the final touches by hand. But I'm not going to do that on stream because the render itself will take quite some time, so I'd rather just kind of set up some turntables and that sort of stuff. I need to figure out as well how I'm going to render this guy, because currently for a final frame at full quality you're looking at about 3 hours. I don't have, like, I have a decent computer, but I don't have the time or hardware to render like a full turntable like I did with the other character. So maybe what I'll have to do is render like a presentation with full look dev and caustics and everything from the front, just one frame, then do like a grey render of the same angle, and then just do a grey turntable. So like, you know, no skin shading, basic eye shading, and the hair, just because the hair is what I spent most of the time working on. So if I'm going to do a turntable, that would probably be the thing worth showing most, because I just don't have the resources to render a full look dev turntable. Maybe I can render like 8 frame turntable, but yeah, that would feel, I don't know, it wouldn't feel great. It wouldn't fit in the reel that I'm hoping to build. Granted, even an 8 frame show reel would take 24 hours. Our 8 frame turntable would take 24 hours with the current render times, so on the one machine. Render's taking this time to start. I feel like the scene has got a lot slower since I moved the character. The groom might be having some issues, I think. There we go. I'll let this do, I think, 3 passes and then just target specific areas. It looks like it might be better though. Increasing the length might have helped quite a lot. Let's target this area now.
I just realised Unreal Engine has the exact same shortcuts as mine.
Oh really? Identical shortcuts? Yeah, it has modelling tools then.
Yeah, but like they're very, very,
Oh, very basic, yeah.
It's like, move the face.
Yeah. Has extrude though, right?
Yeah.
I wonder how many beginners have seen that and said, oh, it's a Death of Maya. So I've seen so many things, it's like, oh, now you can render like billions of polygons in Unreal. Why would anyone use Maya? It's like, I don't think you realise what Unreal is.
And then there's software like Topogun, there's that plugin that came out, you know, the Topo one.
Yeah.
Like Flow.
I'm not sure if I prefer the long one.
I quite like the long. I feel like it needs a more breakup. It looks like it's all going to one. You know what I mean? Like
Well, the problem I've got now is it is going all the same way, but that's because we're looking at him from the side.
Yeah, it'd be cool if maybe some of it like broke, you know,
Broke
like
down.
either up or yeah, it's like some proper flick, you know what I mean? Like to give a slight bit of variation.
Maybe some clump noise will help. Also some intersection here, which isn't great. Okay, well, we've got something to work from now. I need to add the noise back in. There was a noise that I had on the hair that I completely removed. I think I need to put it back in. I literally completely turned it off, so now we've got some really strong clumps in there, but I don't think that works. So let's panels, render cam perspective. Let's get that noise back in there. Go to fur neck, modifiers, noise. Yeah, that will break up some stuff. And now we just need to get this side view looking good. How can I do that though? And I can force some shapes. Might be time to start doing that, to be fair. Like, we are at the final stages now. If I need to force shapes, then now's the time to do it. Because I'm not pushing this guy through pipe. Let's do something like that. And I need to hide fur head. There he is. Yeah, so let's force some shapes in there. Fur neck. Where are you? There you are. Let's add some more CVs to this guy. Let's go with 7. And let's get a bit more of a nice curl in there. Cool. So let's get some guides near him. Let's do here. Pull him to do the same thing. Let's add a guide there. Again, the aim here is just to force variation. Action doesn't always like doing variation. Sometimes you have to really make it do it. And I don't want to just add a general clump noise to get this sort of stuff. One, because I don't have clumps small enough or large enough to get this sort of shape. They're all a lot smaller than that. And 2, just because it's less controllable. Generally speaking, if I can avoid using noises, I will. I prefer just to do more guide work, which is slower, but ultimately I have more control. Granted, this is where like sculptable hair comes in. Hey, we got our first message in the chat that isn't Becca. Hey, Francisco.
Francisco.
Can always rely on Francisco.
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 Friend.
The length difference here is maybe too much. I have to pull this guy back a little bit. So, yeah, it's too few guides, I think, is the issue. So let's try adding guides in that really push and pull this side around a lot. Yeah, it's just whatever guides are placed to make this perfectly straight line, which needs to be killed, needs to go. I missed the posing part. Everyone missed the posing part. I did it off stream. Even Becca missed the posing part, even though she was in the building. I didn't stream it. It's super basic though. The reason I didn't stream it is because last night there was like some group calls on Zoom, I guess. Was it Zoom?
Yeah, Zoom.
Yeah. So I didn't want to kind of interrupt that. So, and annoyingly, because I don't have 1,000 subscribers, I can't do community posts, so I couldn't message like the general like channel to say, hey, I won't be streaming tonight. But I did work on the character. At the beginning of the stream, I talked through kind of the general stuff. In terms of how I post it, it's literally, it's disgusting. I just selected faces, went into soft select mode and rotated. I kind of did as close as I could to weight painting in soft select. I do need to kind of go in and sculpt some of this stuff, but at the same time, the turntables won't be this. They'll be, well, actually this is going to be a nightmare. I need to transfer the groom back to the non-posed version at some point, and that's going to be horrible. But yeah, so Let's place a guide there. Yeah, so much boring stuff happen when they're placing guides. It's just the guide work for this is just way too sparse. I was relying too much on interpolation, not enough on actual being a professional and controlling shit. There's a guide there. Let's pick a side of dominant. Let's go with left. Pick that guy. And we can put a guide next to him and kind of part the hair a little bit. There we go. So let's see how that works. I'm pretty sure I'm not doing guide clumping. So let's check that. No, it's not guide clumping. Cool. That's a little bit better. We're getting a bit of rolls and stuff in there. You need to get something coming this way. It's the next thing. So let's get you. I'm going to need to force him, because that's not going to want to work. Because it's doing the opposite of every guide around it, which never does what you want. That might do it. Did something, not really enough though. Maybe it is enough, I can't tell. I love the way the matte clumps work when you don't have any other groom visible in the area. I also kind of need more matte clumps in the back, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. I think that will start to get the look. Okay, so one of the biggest issues I've got with this groom at the moment is this section of the groom. If I go to you, as a previous render, it just looks shit, to be honest. So let's get the kill you. And just get the ref up. Do we need it a lot more broken up? A lot more variation now. We also need more shadowing, which is going to be a bit of an issue. Because the lighting is dead on hitting this guy. And I quite like the way the lighting is affecting the face, so I could just kind of play with the ear. Get something out of that, but we'll find out. Ideally, you don't want to be moving the ear mesh. Cool, so let's kill that. Show for head, because he makes quite a bit of a difference for the ears. Okay.
It's reading. I didn't realize that you can disable or enable ray tracing.
Yeah, it's when you start a project, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know if it requires RTX for ray tracing in Unreal.
I don't think it does.
I think it helps, but it's not required. Let's pull this guy like completely the wrong way. Just do like that.
I think I've already got questions.
For what?
Just for one project. Because for example, if I wanted to make like a scene, it's kind of cool the way Unreal works. Whenever you make your first project, whenever you open it, it's like there's games, there's like new project categories: games, film, television, live events, architecture, engineering, construction, automotive, production design, and manufacturing. I'm like, which one would you do if you just wanted to make a scene?
Architecture, I guess.
Or film, maybe?
Well, film is more of virtual production.
Yeah.
It's more about animation and stability, whereas what you want is a pretty final image, right?
Well, it says choose from templates, examples for art display, VR, virtual production workflows, architectures, multi-user design reviews, photorealistic architecture design, visualizations, sunlight studies.
Okay, I think you need way more
yes.
CVs.
Or stylized rendering, so I guess it would be then.
Yeah, architecture would probably be your best one.
Yeah. I'm just finishing the rest of that.
Let's multiply that by C length. some intersections back here, but we won't be seeing those because the final version isn't posed. This is the importance of tech anim or simulation departments, those, because you know the back was working great when he was T-posed, but the moment you move that shoulder, there's already like massive intersections. And this is what pretty much all groom systems do. So that's why it's so important to kind of have a team there to sort out animated meshes for fur. Do some simulation, maybe relax the mesh to reduce the changes, and that will reduce the hair movement, or just simulate the hair to kind of repel itself a little bit. Try to hold its original shape as much as possible. Let me get that. Oh yeah, the painting. So I need to get these guys all visible again. Where is he? He's the one who's simulating. So
I love when people are like, this is how you drag the menu, but like they do the extreme of like, ah!
what?
You know when people like are showing you how to like park different menu things, but instead of just kind of like driving like a normal person, it's like a madman, like drag the window the whole way around the bottom. They're like, ah! You can park it here. Here, park it.
Peter Parker. Cool. So that's him moved into place. These were fine where they were. So we need something on this screen right side. So let's place a curve. Let's do. Is there a fern paint effect? Let's try saving this. If there's a paint effect for ferns, that'd be great, because that's all I want, just a general fern. Or even a vine, just something to place and like kind of wave through here. I'm thinking of the paint over my housemate did. I'll get it up. Ignore the 3D artist thing. He kind of said how it would make a decent cover. Let me just get the image up. This is painted by one of my old housemates, a guy called Cole Decker. I'll see if I can find his portfolio and put it in the chat. He's pretty good. But he was saying how if I like split this into, if I put it into like an A4 type shape, the composition works a lot nicer, and I have to agree with him. This looks a lot cooler than the square that I've got at the moment, so I might do that. And that also removes the need to have this stuff on the side, so maybe that is worth doing. Maybe just get something sneaking in just so it doesn't look like it's empty on that side. Just having it be an A4 shape helps a lot. Hey Rebel. But yeah, so, and also the way he painted this glow effect is beautiful. I wish I could paint like Cole. Let me search for his, just to give a bit of promotion for a friend. Cole Decker Art. There he is. Let me just get. So this is a guy I used to live with in university. I'm going to put this in the chat. I recommend you check out his work. He's really, really good. He's a great concept artist. His art station looks like it's not been updated for a while. It's old university projects. But he's really good. I don't know if he's got any portfolios he keeps up to date. But yeah, so maybe it is worth kind of putting this into A4. I'm going to render the final, like, the final image, sorry, the final progression image in Square, just because that's what every other image has been so far, and I want to make a GIF of kind of all the stages that I've gone through making this. So for our 26 images, so it's a 1 second video at the moment. Obviously I'm going to spread it out, like, you know, 10 seconds a frame, no, 5 seconds a frame, 4 seconds a frame, something like that. Right, so we've got him in place, he's working. We need one of the others to be moving, because they're a bit dull looking. What ones do we have in this area? What choices do we have? Maybe him. Where's that one? So let's go to frame 1000. Let's go to frame 1001. Frame 1000, maybe like there. And frame 1002, move him there. And I want to just go into the graph editor and get some curve to these. Animation, graph editor. Because when RenderMan's doing, I guess the hand looks weird. There is no hand at the moment. I'm not entirely sure what it is you're talking about there. Already is doing that. One of the comments is saying the hand looks weird, but there is no hand. Right, so that's in place. What's that?
He also dabbed. I enjoyed that emoji that he sent.
Cool, right, so we got that. Hopefully this is feeling a bit better now. I'll have to check that out. We'll do another IPR render. See if this is working better now. I will be cheating some stuff in the final render, and by cheating I mean drawing. Just because since I'm doing a digital kind of illustration type image now, it's fine for me to kind of comp stuff in. Like if I want to get a picture of a twig and kind of add it in the background, then I can. Just because I'm not doing turntable animated series with it, so or animated sequence even. Definitely not doing animated series. That is quite some work. Did I actually start the render? I did. Cool. I might kill it straight away and just turn on some geometries. But no, I don't need them. Just being picky. So let's see how this goes. Hey, Francisco, something you missed at the beginning of this stream. So my next project, I've decided what the next project will be. I'm going to be making a digitable of FKA twigs. I'm going to recreate this image as close as I can. So we're just going to image a new tab.
She's so pretty.
Yeah, I need to set this to large images. But yeah, so I'm going to recreate this image as close as I can. So we'll see how that goes. It'll be quite a bit of fun. It's completely out of my comfort zone. Like likeness is really difficult. Female likeness especially. I'm not that like. Female forms aren't as intuitive when I'm sculpting for me. Likeness is always hard. Photoreal skin shading is going to be a nightmare as well. So I think it'd be quite a fun project. Hopefully I finish it, because this sort of project drags. But hopefully we can get quite far with it. I'm thinking of enrolling to the course by Chris Costa as well. Learn a bit of likeness and photoreal stuff from there. It's quite pricey, but I feel like it's worth it. I'm gonna check actually how much it is at the moment. Fly on.
I think it was down to like $600.
Yeah, but that's like existing courses, which I could do. Part of me wants to enroll to one of the ones that's like currently going, like as it starts, so I can see them live, but also get feedback and
That would be cool.
do it alongside. You can get 3 for 1 for $640. And I think that's quite a lot of lessons. Or you can buy one for 550. So it's like, why not?
Why not buy 3?
Why not buy 3? Yeah, because you can get these free. The fairy is by far the one that I want to like learn from the most. Hey Becca, these are the 3 you can get.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, so for $640, which is what, 500 quid.
Yeah, I think they're very.
Yeah, learn a lot from those.
Is that different?
They're all different.
Special ethnicities.
Yeah, exactly. Like I could learn kind of American, African American. I guess African in this guy's case because he's tribal, and female, and I guess Asian. Yeah, I can't place exactly where, but I'd say like definitely Asian. But like getting that level of variety would be really nice, and just I love the sculpting on this. So nice. But yeah, for $640, like yes, it's pricey, but learning from Chris Costa would be quite good.
just a bit.
Yeah, just a little bit good. This line is too long. I need to shorten the distance that this one moves, or add more of a tail to it, so it's like flowy. Because currently it's a straight line, which kind of kills the image. I've like missed 4 messages on the chat and I can't tell what they're saying amazing to. I'm guessing it's the Chris Costa stuff.
Love the eyebrows. Yeah, I'm guessing because you're so.
Well, eyebrows definitely, yeah, but the cool thing maybe about the FKA Twigs digital.
Could be. Her eyebrows are cool. I'll give you that.
Yeah, should be really interesting to make. I think grooming her eyebrows would actually be deceptively easy because it's a very high res image. And the flow of her eyebrows is actually shockingly simple. Like almost all the eyebrows are making the exact same shape. Also, adding that noise has really broken it, so it's working quite well now.
Yeah, it's adding. It doesn't.
Yeah. It doesn't read as a surface anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't like just grip in the one area. I think it's the way the lighting's hitting it or something. It's just
this has got more of a flow now as well. It's
like
still
that.
straight, but to be fair, it's at a side angle, and you can't really avoid.
What might be nice is you see the way there's like the lighter bit, the bit that catches the highlight at the top, not that bit.
Just it.
Down. Sorry, no, the bit that you were pointing at. Yeah. See that? Yeah, that area there. Might be nice if you had like a little bit of a flick, like.
In this one, I actually do have a flick in this area. Maybe it's just not.
It's prominent enough. No, but you see the end of it.
No, it might not be rendered enough because it's just so bitty.
See the way it kind of comes to the end.
We're all talking about your next picture. Oh, thanks. Hey, Ian.
I look like FKA. No, I don't.
Yeah, you look nothing like FKA Twigs.
I wish I looked like FKA Twigs. No,
I wish I looked like FKA Twigs.
I have her eyebrows though, so therefore.
You do have her. That's pretty similar eyebrows.
Dark.
Hers are a lot like sparser and pointy upper.
Yeah.
Like if yours were longer and pointed more up. But you have really thick eyebrows.
If I brushed my eyebrows up, you'd be terrified.
Isn't Pritt stick a thing that some girls do?
Drag queens do.
Yeah.
They stick their brows down before they cover it, and then they draw them back on, or they shave them, depending on the person.
Shaved eyebrows are the funniest thing.
I can't tongue pop, so you can't either. That's click popping.
Click pop.
It'd be nice. It's hard to see that. It might be nice maybe if you can do a slightly higher res on the bottom. Yeah, just there. Because what would be nice is, you know, the bit that I pointed out, like even if the
this
top
one?
of even.
Do you want me to just specifically do that bit?
Yeah, because even that, you see the way it kind of currently goes like that shape. The top of it is flatter.
Give me 1 sec. One thing I really don't like about the region render in RenderMan is you can't, as far as I'm aware, you can't like shift right click drag and just drag a new box. You have to exist.
See the way, so there's that like kind of clumped area there.
Yeah.
If you even have that bit.
Let's get a little bit of a flick going on. Yeah, I do actually have it in the guides.
No, but I know about that.
Like it's there, but it's.
I think it needs to break the surface.
You think this bit at the top?
Yeah, I think, but the end would be just to break the surface more.
If I show you the.
I think the flick's there, but it's like in the middle, not at the actual top bit, just to break the silhouette.
So it's neck.
Ian Harvey is FKA. Ian, I love you.
Hey!
Hey!
When was the last time I saved?
Dab, dab, dab.
When was the last time I saved?
I'm watching your fucking. I clicked on the wrong one. I was like, this isn't Unreal. Like, oh, it's mine.
You can close the stream. Also, the concurrent viewers thing is really confused right now because it says 9 in one place, 6 in another, and 4 in another.
I'm one. See it.
Like, it's literally giving me all sorts of different counts.
I refreshed it as it crashed. Hey, it crashed.
When was my last?
No.
When was last save?
Do you not have like autosave on or auto recovery on?
Yes, but it doesn't always save grooms correctly.
There's one at the top. You could try it and test it.
Yeah, I've got a feeling the groom won't be working though.
It's like I would rather Maya actually crash properly than just froze, because then it means that you have a temp file somewhere,
Mhm.
Whereas I hate when it freezes.
Right, is the groom gone? Groom is gone. Yeah, it's because when it saves a crash file, it doesn't save the .xgen file. It just saves the crash file. But xgen requires 2 files. It requires your my file and it requires your xgen file. So I don't know what I've lost. Probably not much, to be honest, because I was waiting on the render. Let's go to fur ears. Oh no, it's fur ears from clump.
You'll remember. Do you remember what you did?
Yeah, there it is. It's there. Pretty sure that's it anyway. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I guess it's all broken up.
It's broken. So let's get head visible because that completely changes the context of this area. Yeah, the flick is definitely there. Like, it's literally going straight across. It's a 90-degree break in angle. Yeah. So maybe it just needs more refinement in the render. And then I need to reduce the amount this one's changing position. Right, so I'm going to try showing the other geometries. Go into let's try an RPR now. And before my computer crashes, I'm going to limit Maya. Let me say difference. Okay, pick only one. I talk about courses. Is it enough to be an artist without studying in an art college? Yeah, I mean, you just have to be good at the job. Like, the thing. So this is something that's.
It's a weird one.
Yeah. So university for me is less about the skills and more about the people that you know. Like, there's a lot of opportunities that I got through being at university that I wouldn't have got if I just learned from tutorials at home. Obviously you get like lecturers, but to be honest, at most universities, the lecturers aren't what you learn from the most. Google is what you learn from the most. Like in my 3rd year of university, and I complained quite a lot. Like, I had basically no teaching. There was the first few months, we had a couple matte painting lessons, and I think 1 look dev lesson. Maybe some animation stuff. It's been like 4 years. But I remember distinctly, like, we had a busy 2 or 3 months, and then the year was empty. Second year, we had some lessons that I still have never even come across anything that'd be even remotely useful for. But if I didn't go to university, I wouldn't have got to do the BFX competition. I wouldn't have got to go to the same festivals, because I went to like FMX, for example, and the only reason I went is because people at my university went. They told me it was good, and we got a discount for being at university. So there's a lot of stuff that you don't get from home teaching, but the core skills you can get from Google, 100%. You can Google everything, get some licenses. You can buy Substance Painter quite cheap, and there's your texturing pipeline covered. You can use Blender if you have to, or ideally get Maya, but now that the student version's gone, it's overly expensive, so I think Blender and Houdini are going to be a lot more popular. Houdini you can get for free as the apprentice version.
I think as well, one of the big things, especially my university, really focused on, from my old course director anyway, was like soft skills. So although if you're working in any industry, even if you're working freelance, you are working with a lot of different people.
Yeah.
And one of the big and valuable lessons One of the big invaluable lessons I had was working in teams. My uni was totally different than Michael's. We worked in teams from day one, and although it was hell, like your mental health dropped whenever everything just went to
University teaches you all the things you don't expect it to teach you.
Yeah.
Like you don't learn the core skills from it. You learn the core skills from fucking about and breaking Maya and then fixing it. 90% of what I know is from other people breaking Maya, and then me trying to help them out and figure out. Yeah, me googling it for them, finding out what the issue is, and then because of that, understanding Maya that little bit better. But ultimately, the stuff that you can't learn at home is the soft skills that Becca talks about, like how to work in a team, all that sort of stuff. You don't have a common connection with other people. So one of the key things is like I meet people in the industry all the time. So to answer Ian's question at the same time, I went to Bournemouth University. Bournemouth University was massive. It's still pretty big, but when the industry was starting out in the UK, Bournemouth University was one of the defining kind of places. Like almost all the heads of department I've ever worked with have come from Bournemouth University. So obviously going through the interview process, when people are like, "Oh, you went to Bournemouth as well," is like, even though it doesn't directly help me, it has like that sense of camaraderie, I guess. So it helps like kind of break the ice and talk to new people just because you've done it before. Why is it not rendering the motion blur? Am I on the wrong frame? I think I'm on the wrong frame. Frame 102, yeah, I am. I'm just gonna let it refine. I don't need the motion blur. But yeah, so to answer your question, Karim, it doesn't technically matter. It depends on how things are in your country, what studios are like. But
it depends on the regulations. Like I know some visas and stuff, they want the university degree.
Yeah, that's another thing as well. Like, for example, with Canada, if you want to get a visa, it's a lot easier if you have university accreditation. Granted, it also depends on the university. If you go to some tiny middle of nowhere university which has only just opened its first CG course and doesn't have any pedigree, then that's going to be a lot less helpful to you than if you go to Hertfordshire or Cal Arts or Bournemouth. I'm not saying they're all in the same league. Cal Arts is its own thing, but if you go to one of the known universities, that's going to be a lot more helpful to you. But it depends again on what country you're in, what the studios are like. Generally, university is worth it, I'd say. It's a lot of money for so much stuff that you feel like you could learn elsewhere. Like overall, I'm quite disappointed with the course that I went through at university. I'm not disappointed with the experience. I'm not disappointed with the people. I'm not disappointed with the lectures. It's just it didn't teach what I wanted to learn.
Yeah.
But it put me in a position where I had 24-hour access to a render farm. I had all the software I could ever need. I had people who knew stuff if I wanted to ask them. I had the resources that I wouldn't if I stayed at home. So it's not about the course, it's about what resources you have. At least from my perspective, there'll be a lot of people that disagree with me, and there'll be people who went to Bournemouth that completely disagree with me on the course. But for me, like, the course itself wasn't the helpful bit. It's just a great framework. Like, there's projects that I would have never thought to do if I was doing stuff on my own. I would have sat around sculpting heads all day if I was learning on my own. I wouldn't have tried comp, I wouldn't have tried all that stuff.
I think there's a lot of, like, as well, my uni was completely different. Mine was a very young university degree. And we had an unfortunate circumstance where, like Mike, we dropped our lecturing, the amount of lecturing staff we had very quickly. So it was like the last year of my university degree, I think I had like 6 lectures the entire year. But for me, university was invaluable with getting like your name out and like speaking to people. I was always the person that was very chatty and was like the mum of my degree. So organisation of like, I became a representative for different film festivals. I organised like a bus of 90 people at one point to go to a film festival. All that got my name and got me references, and I think it really helped with the job I'm in today, to be honest. Depending on your country as well, one of the big advantages where I'm from, my uni, you have to do a placement year, but coming from a smaller, like Northern Ireland's quite small, the industry is still youngish. So there's a lot more opportunities. So that placement year is golden. Like, you can learn, even though my degree is mainly 3D orientated. A lot of the studios are 2D, which is all in Belfast, so it's quite cool because you can go in and do a lot. You know, you learn a lot. Like I learned a lot of After Effects and editing. I learned a lot of production skills and organizational skills. I really enjoyed August particularly.
Yeah, it's helpful. Yeah, definitely. I feel like university is going to become less helpful over time because the amount of lessons online now is way more than it was.
It's weird.
But it's still going to be important to have.
It's weird. I feel like by the sounds of things, my university has especially my degree, has really stepped up during Corona. We would have very limited contact with lecturers in final year because we had one person, you know, for our entire degree, and we had two PhD students who were a blessing. You know, it was like trying to make the most of a terrible circumstance. So it was like, you know, what do you do here? Whereas with Corona, it seems to be a lot of people have rallied in my uni, you know, to come together and help, which is cool.
I need to make the whiskers shorter.
It really is an interesting topic because there's no right or wrong answers. I know people who've gone into game development with absolutely no, you know, they've learned from stuff online. They've learned from opening really early versions of Unreal Engine or Unity and, like, you know, just messing about, that kind of thing. It probably depends on your financial situation as well.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
Like American universities are insane pricing versus like a $600 course. You know. Where I'm from, it's like it's £4,000 a year. So my degree cost me 12 grand, which is nothing compared to you, which was...
I'm in 52 grand of debt.
Yeah, Mike's in 52 grand of debt.
Which I wouldn't have paid 52 grand for connections.
Yeah.
But the way that university and student finance works in the UK is, although I'm in 52 grand of debt, that gets written off when I hit, after 30 years of graduating, it gets written off no matter how much is left. It can't get passed on to anyone, and it's a percentage of the money you earn over a threshold. So ultimately, you never really feel it. It's just an extra tax that you pay, which, you know, in the UK tax is pretty high, but, you know, it's nowhere near as high as other countries. But
I think I pay like a tenner a month or something.
I pay, well, if I say how much I pay on student finance, it gives away how much I earn. So I'm not going to say how much I pay.
Mine's very small. Mine's like.
But yeah, so it's one of those where, although I'm in huge amount of debt, I don't really feel it. So I'd say if you don't go to school, try to find a like-minded group. Yeah, there's a lot of really great forums out there. There's a lot of really bad ones as well. But I recommend, what would be the best group? I mean, CG Grooming Artists is pretty good if you want to do fur stuff. That's a group that there's about 5,000 members now. It's dedicated to grooming. People try to post modeling stuff all the time, and we always reject it. But it's called CG Grooming Artist, and people are like, "Hey, how's my modeling?" It's like, CG Grooming Artist. We don't want your models. But that's quite a good group for if you want to learn groom. It's quite a lot of people that really know what they're talking about. There's quite a lot of people who, like me, don't fully know, but will try to help anyway. So that's a good group. I miss Lunch Crunch. I really miss Lunch Crunch.
What?
That was before you. You wee little CG baby. Lunch Crunch was killed in 2015, so you would have just been starting. Well, not too long after starting, I guess. When did you start again? 15 or?
What age am I? What year is it? When did I go to uni?
You are 24, you finished university a year ago.
So 2019 must have been 2015.
So 2015, yeah. So Lunch Crunch was killed in 2015. There's still a forum, but there's no Facebook page anymore. But that was one of the best communities that I've been in. Polycount used to be really good as well, but that's toxic now. But I guess Level Up is dead as well because they require posts to get approval. So by the time your post has got approval, it's been like 4 days. There's not enough admins on the group. So I guess 10,000 hours and 3D modeling and animation are probably the two best groups. Of course, you can go on things like Discord. You can message professionals. Like I've said many times, like if you guys want to message me, like there's a link to my website in the description of this video, and on the website there's ways to contact me. So I'm more than happy to add people on social media. I know I've got a few people in this chat from social media.
Yeah, don't be afraid to like reach out to people. Like I think me and Mike met from me saying, "Oh, I like your showreel. It's pretty."
It
Cool.
literally was. It's super weird. Like it was a couple of years ago. Becca needed to find a showreel of a student, and I happened to be a student with a showreel. And so she messaged me. She's like, "Oh yeah, the showreel's really cool. I've used it for an assignment." And then, we were friends for a couple of years, and then now we're in a relationship. It's super weird.
The more you know.
Kind of funny though, to be honest. Glad I posted that showreel. It didn't get me a job. It didn't get me the internship at NPC that I applied to. I got rejected by NPC like 3 times.
I never applied.
That's the thing. I applied 3 times for internships and got rejected, and then I didn't apply for a job and got accepted.
That's pretty nice.
It's like, why was the internship so much harder to get into?
That's the same with me. I got rejected for the Blue Zoo internship.
Oh, you did, didn't you?
Yeah. And then I got.
And now you've got a job at Blue Zoo.
Job.
I think internships. I tend to find, I've chatted to a few people about this. Internships tend to be harder to get into than actual junior roles, because junior roles really people who have finished university apply to, whereas internships everyone applies to, and there's some students that are beyond junior level who apply to the internships. Like Zeno Pelgrims is a great one for that. Like he did the NPC modeling internship. I think he worked on Goosebumps, and he's like insanely good, like scary good. There's also Alan Bolkas, and he did the internship at NPC. And it's just like he was already better than a majority of juniors when he did the internship. It's just scary how good some people get. So when you apply to internships, if you get rejected from them, do not worry, because there's a lot of really good people that get rejected too. I'm kind of just rotating my camera around the sky. I need to do something. Let's just do a... to render cam. Let's create CV curve. Or is it curve tools? CV curve. I don't know if this will paint. No, it won't. It's going to place a ton of points. Oh, it's not really a ton of points, but still. Hey, I previously asked about curly hair and next gen. Oh yeah, you messaged me on LinkedIn, didn't you? So I've been referencing Seth Rogen's hair. How do you go about creating curly hair like that?
Yeah.
Seth Rogen. God, that's going to be hard.
He's got adorable
You have chosen a very difficult groom. I will give you that. What era of Seth Rogen? Because we've got this, which
lots of noise.
No. This is hard. This is really hard. If you wanted to match this, it would be a lot of guide clumping for VFX level grooming. Yeah. You wouldn't just do noise for this. If you're doing this, then this is intense guide work. Same with this. This is intense guide work.
You can see
yeah, you can see forms like this sort of like cylinder, like roll shape. You can't get that with noise. This simple guides with a little bit of noise. This noise, just straight up noise at the front. There is quite a bit of guide work in this. Like you can see a flow this way, flow that way. Here's a bit blurry, but you can see flows like kind of emanating around this point. So you'd want to not use noise too heavily. God, that's difficult. Is that Seth Rogen?
Yeah, it's Seth Rogen.
He looks nothing like Seth Rogen.
I think he goes a little weight there.
Yeah, this sort of stuff, if you want to match it, is just really intense guide work. This isn't a curl modifier. Curl modifiers are better for... the curl modifier is great at this stuff. Like, kind of the time to know if you should use a curl modifier or intense guide work is, can you draw a straight line through it? And if you can, is the curl even on both sides all the time? If so, that's a ringlet. That is a curl modifier, 100%. That's kind of a curl modifier. It's got some weird shapes in there, so some of this would be curl modifier. This is 100% a curl modifier. You would not do guides for that. Although this curl here, for VFX, you do a guide for that, because it breaks halfway, and that's borderline impossible to do. So this sort of stuff you definitely do curl modifier for. However, this stuff is intense guide work with some curl modifier in some areas. At least for my approach. If we do wavy hair or what would you call that hair? I guess Wonder Woman. Woman has a great example of this. So like this sort of stuff is intense guide work. So if this is the sort of curl that you're trying to do, a curl modifier isn't right for this. This is just lots of guide work. Yeah, definitely guide work for this sort of thing. So Seth Rogen, he looks like he'd be more in that guide work space. It's just you need a lot. His hair is pretty complex. I'd be curious to know about what you both would consider minimum skills necessary for a junior role in your respective disciplines. Well, I'm a generalist, so that's a really great area.
You're more character orientated though, aren't you?
I am a character guy, although I do environment work.
Yeah.
In previs, I did only environment work. Didn't do any character work in previs. So that's 6 months of my life. But yeah, so it's really hard to say because it depends so much on when you're applying for stuff, where you're applying, who else is applying,
VFX versus animation,
what tools you know versus what tools other people know, how well you interview. I've known people who are more than good enough and don't get the job because they don't interview great. There's so many things to it other than minimum skill level.
I think one of the biggest things, and it's something I've noticed a lot recently, especially with starting my job, especially in like the kind of degree I came from, a lot of students are kind of, it's changing now, thankfully. A lot of students are pigeonholed into using Maya, so you need to be very adaptable. One of the minimum skills, like within months, I'm already using like 3 or 4 different softwares that I would never have touched before.
Yeah, that's one key thing is no matter what job you're going for, you need to be a generalist to some extent. You don't need to be a full-on generalist. You don't need to be able to do everything to a high level. You just need to be able to do, if you're given, you don't need to be able to like do a modeling task if you're given a modeling task as a look dev artist, but you need to understand how they work so that you can work with the other departments. If you can't work with other departments, that you're functionally not useless, but you're way less valuable to a team if you can't work with other people in other teams.
Like I've been given shaders to create and been given an asset that's like the shader to be on, and it's been like oh, this model isn't working right with the shader, could we fix it? And they'll ask me to adapt the model to send it back to modeling so they can have a look at it, to see, like the guy literally could have a 30-minute, can you quickly look at this before it gets sent to them so they can properly fix it to their pipeline. But I love environment modeling, so it's been like, nice to be able to use that again. So it's weird, like I find look dev, especially in the kind of studio I'm in, where like the fix it guys, so they could be like, we have this scene coming up with this really complicated, or we have the shader that we need, like what can we do? Can you think of something like a tool or like a development piece, to get it in there, and it would be an easy pipeline fix, stuff like that. Like where like the problem solvers, it's quite interesting. I really enjoy it, so I do, because there's stuff in there I would never have thought. Whenever I joined, I was actually really scared of my role because I have people who are beside me who are great at ZBrush and they're great all-round modelers, or they're very technically minded, like tool scripting, or they're really good at like compositing, Groom, and I'm just
fuck.
It's such a cool place. Usually,
I'd love to work at Blue Zoo. Yeah,
it's such a lovely place.
I'd love to work at Blue Zoo as well. It sounds super nice.
The team I'm with are great.
I think it's the more I hear about the dynamic you guys have, the more I'm just like, oh.
And they're really good at listening, like what you want to do, and yeah, it's cool. Make me cry.
Don't
Everyone's so done. I'm actually crying. I don't know why I'm crying.
Are you okay?
I don't know.
We don't have any chocolate, do we?
So
We don't have any chocolate, do we?
Would like them to be.
Oh, we have cookies. Would you like
no,
a cookie?
I'm fine.
No. Give the emotional lady some sweets. That's
Did somebody say that?
No, that's what I'm saying.
I was not there in 2018, unfortunately. Use your I can't read. Use your illusions. What kind of work do you do?
I think they've said it in the chat before, but I can't.
Sorry.
It's really hard to. No, it's really hard to keep track of who does what.
Thanks for the info. Probably made no sense. Probably didn't answer any of your questions.
Alright, let me try effects again.
I feel like the Donald Trump speech.
Assign hair system, new hair system. Right, okay, so I can't assign hair systems. Good to know. I really want to do a braid, but I can't because it won't let me assign a hair system. I could manually model a braid, but no.
What do you need? Why don't you just do the curve, the rope, the old rope trick?
Because I want a braid, not a curl. I don't want something that coils around itself. I want a braid.
Why did you have mine?
There is. If you assign a N hair system, there is a button that says braid, and it braids the hairs. So if you generate 3 hairs and braid them, set enough CVs, it will give you 3 braided curves, and then you just extrude along those curves. And they are actually braided, not just curled around each other. So the amount of times I've seen like groom tutorials, and it always really bothers me, is like how to make a braid, and they don't make a braid, and they make a clump that curls around itself. Like that's not a braid.
Like kind of like a dread, but with like slightly breakup on it.
But yeah, like the barbershop signs.
Yeah.
They functionally do that, and it's like you've not made a braid. Like I've seen on LinkedIn like a braid tool, and it's like that's not a braid. Like there is a tool out there called Braid Maker, I think.
Make braids.
Braid Maker. Of course, plugin. If I search Braid Maker, I'm just gonna get there. It is. Gumroad.
I'm going to like
by AKA Tools. This one. This is really nice. But I've seen some braid makers that literally just get a curve and curl it around itself and call that a braid. It really bothers me. Yes, I was here watching the streams before. I'm a friend of Giorgio. Oh yeah, I remember. I'm actually working on my 4th modeling texture painter demo reel. Nice.
I'm trying to find your LinkedIn, but I'm like, that's not your real name.
Yeah, use your illusions. Use his first name. Let's do. Why can't I add paint effects? Oh well, maybe I can add paint effects, but I don't know if I can add. Let's go generate. What? I need to go to the template tool. Get brush. Hair. Raster tube. That's not what I want. Eyelash. My god, look at that eyelash. It's beautiful.
Is it Billie Eilish?
Billie Eilish, shut up. Yeah, I hate that so much. Afro black might be good.
Find your name, Sebastian. Oh, find it. No, that's okay.
Generate.
Are you hidden?
Curve utilities.
I can't find you. Whenever I type your name in, for some reason, Alfonso Papa comes up.
That isn't what I was hoping for, but I kind of dig it. It's just added afro hair along the curve.
That's amazing.
It's like, I was hoping you travel along the curve, but okay.
I like it when nothing.
Alright, let's go back into Get Brush. Go back into Hair. They're all going to do the same then, aren't they? They're all going to do this. Oh. Yeah, they are. Oh, right, okay, what other... Maybe there isn't a thing for this. I'm lost. I was literally just doing this. Why have I lost it now? Get brush. There we go. We've got some flowers. I haven't used paint effects in so long. Rope. That will be. It's not braided, but it'll be as close as I'm gonna get, I think.
Oh, it's amazing. Unreal, this is really nice shortcuts. The enter button works.
Aha! Not entirely what I wanted, but it's interesting enough. How high poly is this? Oh, it's not that high poly actually. I dig it. So that's changing the actual seed of the strokes. Oh, okay, so that's who that is.
What?
Sebastiano. I recognise the name. I've seen it on Facebook a few times.
Use the link if you want. Yes, please.
It's nice to finally be able to put a face to the name, because I remember.
It looks your picture from far away looks like a little termite, and I'm like, why are you a termite?
Doesn't look like a termite.
It does. It looks like one of those like weird.
Looks nothing like a termite.
You know those like renders of like biological worms that you see? It looks like one of those. I was saying.
Oh, you mean that? I thought you meant his Facebook picture. I was like, that's so cruel.
He's a little bit.
It's a tardigrade. I think it's a tardigrade.
A what?
A tardigrade? Do you not know what a tardigrade is? A water bear?
What?
Tardigrade. One of the most hardy animals on Earth. This little guy.
Okay, click on it.
Have you not seen a tardigrade? They're tiny,
Yeah,
but they
that's what
are
I thought it
tough.
was.
They are
It is a
really tough.
tardigrade.
It is a tardigrade,
That's
yeah.
what I thought it was. I was like, why are you a parasite?
It's not a parasite.
But it looks like a parasite.
It's just a tardigrade. Leave the little guy alone. Tardigrades are adorable.
It looks like my after lockdown body.
Alright, okay, let's convert this stroke to polygons. Modify, convert paint effects to polygons. And they're all disconnected from each other at the moment, which isn't ideal, but I can do a test render. Let's assign new material. Let's assign BXDF, and then pixel surface. I keep doing that. So let's hide you and you. Save the scene as a version. Tardigrades are fucking great. I love tardigrades. There we go. That's interesting. IPR. Sometimes paint effects is one of those things that kind of comes to the rescue, and you're like, oh shit, I forgot about this tool. I have no idea how they programmed it to do the things the way it does. It's really cool. I feel like it was way ahead of its time, and now it's way behind the time, so it's still helpful. I think it was like the Ivy generator that a plugin someone made is heavily based on paint effects. Like a lot of it is paint effects based. Right, is it in focus? That's the question. Or is it completely destroyed by the focus? I don't see it. Oh no, there it is. It's so beautiful and in focus. Look at it. It's just like it's gone. Actually, it does start to show up. It needs to be thicker, I think, or more in focus. We have a YouTuber here in Italy who works as a scientist. Weird and ugly living things in Science World.
Ooh. Are the videos in a language that I can understand? Because I enjoy that.
I.e. English.
Mild.
Inglesias.
Inglesias. What? That doesn't really think I'm Spanish, for fuck's sake.
I love how much that bothered you. There we go, that should be in focus. So once I've got this kind of in focus and working the way I want, I'm going to put another paint effects on it to add little leaves. And then I've got a ivy type thing for free. And then I'll maybe add some curves to kind of wrap around some of these. And then I'll, vignette the whole thing. And I'm probably going to end up cropping this side of the image anyway, so. There we go, that's in focus now. I think the width is okay. Let's add some more paint effects. So I can delete the curve now. In fact, I'll hide the curve, not delete it yet. The paint effects meshes are so bad. It's just triangulated. But right, so next thing to do. What am I doing? I need more paint effects. Generate. Oh, it's not curve anymore, is it? I'm not making a groom to put leaves on this thing. I refuse. Let's get brush. Let's see what there is in plants. Oh, maybe I could just use one of these. Fern. We have a fern. Perfect. Vine leafy. Alright, I could have just used that the whole time. Let's delete the stroke. Okay, show you. Right, where was the one I wanted to use? Vine leafy thick. Let's use that one. And then let's assign what am I doing? Generate. Why does it not work the way I want it to? Why do you have to be so awkward? I mean, kinda works. It's not what I want though. I want just a curve going the whole way. Okay, so let's generate you. Generate. Attach. I still got the old. Oh my god. Any ideas for next projects? Yes, I'm going to do a digitable of someone called FKA Twigs. I'm starting hopefully on Tuesday. Depends on when I can get the renders for this guy finished. Because I need to decide if I'm doing a turntable or not, because it's going to take so long to render. I'm almost debating just doing still images from the front. I don't need a turntable for every project I do. I can always like play blast and topology stuff for the private breakdowns and stuff. So that's going to, oh, it's right there. Cool, so let's go into generate. Curve utilities, attach brush. No! Stop attaching that thing. I want this. Cache. Not cache. Generate. Curve utilities. Hey, finally. I have no idea how this will look. I'm kind of hoping it will work well. It might look dumb. It might look really dumb. Let's try to IPL that. Let me get the image up. If I search, well, that render starts FKA Twigs. Cellophane is the name of the album cover. I want to make this, basically. The full version, or the full-size image is that one. But Pitchfork have a really high-res version. This image is going to be an absolute blessing, because I can see individual bits of peach fuzz. It's super high-res. It's not perfectly in focus, but I don't need it to be. It gives me enough information. I can see the peach fuzz. I can see it's actually quite... Her peach fuzz is really dark. I can see every eyebrow. I can see how they follow into the peach fuzz. I can see the little details on these crosses. They're like some tiny stamped plastic thing, not metal. They're just painted to look like metal, I guess. These guys are going to be fun to model, I think. I might put a little Easter egg into these. Maybe one of these can be the monkey that I'm currently working on. Like maybe this one can be the face of this project that I'm currently working on. Something like that could be quite fun. This one's quite in focus. That's really helpful. Maybe all of the faces can be the little monkey I've just been working on. That could be quite funny. It's a little callback to previous projects. But yeah, this is what I want to make. As close to photoreal as I can get, which won't be particularly close, but it's worth a try. Are you going to sculpt any clothes, etc.? Probably not, just because I'm just doing a portrait. I'm just doing a bust, so I won't need any clothes. Have I listened to music? Yes, I've listened to a couple of tracks here or there, but nothing major. I think the thick version isn't working for me. So let's kill that. Get this curve. Get vine leafy rather than vine leafy thick. Generate. Curve utilities. These are a bit thinner. That might work better. Render man, IPR. For a symmetrical character that you plan groom and paint density maps, would it be okay if the UVs are overlapping? Never do that. Never ever do that. Because if you do, it removes the possibility of ever breaking symmetry. And plus, I'm pretty sure guides would freak out. Overlapping UVs. So this is a thing that used to be quite common in games back when UV resolution was incredibly limited. But like we're in 2020, you don't need to do that anymore. Render systems are quick enough. If you want to mirror your maps, then just make your UVs symmetrical rather than overlapping, and then you can just mirror stuff in another program if you want to. But yeah, don't do overlapping UVs in a groom mesh. You're asking for trouble with that. Groom is already incredibly brittle. You have to buy at Ben & Jerry's all the time.
Is that why you're with me?
What, if you buy me Ben & Jerry's? I don't think you've ever bought me Ben & Jerry's.
I have bought you Ben & Jerry's.
When?
Not you. Another time that we went to Camden.
Yes, you did.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Dick.
Oh no, you do things other than make me
like mash.
Yeah, you make mashed potato
I
and
you
that.
with mash and beans
do.
yesterday.
It's like
It was a good day for you.
It was a great day. Any day with you is a good day for me.
Aww.
I'm in the good books now, guys.
I'm having like flashbacks to the Willoughbys where they're like,
So
Father,
Father.
I can't knit.
Oh no. There we go. Oh, I need to convert it to mesh, of course. Ooh, it's still controllable.
Somebody might have died in our hallway.
What?
You didn't hear the noise? Oh, actually, maybe the wash or the bins out.
I did my character and lights demo reel groom part with XGen was a nightmare. Never again. Yeah, I feel you. Even as someone who's been a professional groom artist, XGen is just horrible sometimes. It's unavoidable. It's simultaneously my favorite tool and my worst nightmare.
You seem to have the most. It's weird because I'm watching you work and like hearing the horror stories from a lot of people. You work with it really well, but it's because you treat it really well. You know what I mean?
It's because I know that if I do one thing wrong, it will punish me for it.
Yeah.
So I make sure that I don't do the things wrong, and if I do, I fix it as quickly as I can, and avoid it in future. Because the thing is, XGen, and this is going to cause some controversy, but XGen is stable as fuck. You just can't do a single thing wrong, and if you do, it'll punish you for it. Yeah, 0 to 1 tile you're limited to, but yeah, I mean you can paint PTEX maps directly if you want to, but generally speaking, most maps don't need stupid high resolutions in Grim. Like, you really don't need high-res maps. I think the highest res map I ever used in my whole time as professional groom artist was 4K, and that was rare. And if you need like very high UV resolution for one specific groom, then just make a scalp. Would you ever try doing some groom in Houdini then? I've done a furry ball before. In the meantime, I don't necessarily want to. I will have to at some point because groom in Houdini is the direction that everyone seems to be going in. But it's not something like... I just want to have some fun with the tools I know at the moment. I know Houdini, I've used it for work. I've done like little things here or there, but not much grooming stuff, to be honest. I've done mostly environment work in Houdini. Let me just check something. Layla, if you're still watching the stream, you've tried to join the CG Groom Artist, that's great, but you need to answer the entrance questions. I can't approve it until you answer the entry questions.
it's like a fan club, but not.
It just asks if you know what grooming is, and you could answer yes to all 3 questions,
I think
and it'll be fine.
answered no to all of them.
When I first joined it, I'm pretty sure one of the answers to one of my questions was "fuck you, Jesus," because he knew I was joining it, and obviously I worked at NPC and groom team, so I was like, of course you're gonna let me in, like we were co-workers. I think this is working a bit better. This is interesting, and like basically for free. Like there's no modeling work on this dude. So I just need to throw some basic settings on there, and I'm gonna call him not done, but done enough. I can close this as well. So let's do something like there. By the way, I gotta go. And that's shot me, you guys keep it up. Yeah, see you. Have a good night. Physical. So let's try doing a render now with everything visible. Have you ever been to Seagraph? Would you like to go? I haven't been to Seagraph.
I wanna go.
Not sure I'd want to go, to be honest.
I think it'd be cool.
It would be interesting. I'm just not sure what pay the amount of money they ask for.
If someone wanted to pay me.
Well, I've been to ACM Seagraph, but that's a local thing, so. Seriously looking at the Chris Costa courses. start the render now. And I think I'm gonna leave a render going for a little bit, because this stream is kind of, because it's the finishing touches type stream, it's going to be pretty short and lots of rendering, because I plan on doing quite a few things in comp. Maybe what I can do is start a render, get it to like maybe for the next 20 minutes just kind of chat with you guys while it renders something in the background, and then save out an EXR of that, and then later on tonight kick off a proper render. But before I do that, let's do like a setup basic comp. Set up a basic comp in Natron. I haven't really used Natron much before, but I think it could be cool. It's just a free version of Nuke, basically, open source. And if I can avoid paying way too much money for a compositing program I'll use once every now and then at the end of a project, then I'm going to avoid paying that money. If buying a perpetual license wasn't multiple thousands, I'd do it. But buying perpetual license is way too much money, so. I still need to fill in this region in the Grim. I need to make sure I do that. Let's just see how these are working for a second. These need to be way thicker. Yeah, but I don't really use Cryptomat. Like, it's a good tool, but I just don't need it. Like, as I'm just doing a still image, I can just rotate whatever I need. Right, okay, so two things I need to do before I kick off that final, quote-unquote, final render is thicken up this, because that's way too thin. I can keep the sub-vine thing. I just need to brighten it up a bit. I need to fill this region with hair a little bit. Just pull this hair in, and that will help that so much. And then I think I can start kicking off a final render and move on to the next project on the next stream. So let's go into perspective cam. So let's grab into face mode. So that's all of them. Yeah, that's fine. Cool. So next thing is to get the head. Next gen. So head. And I basically just need to pull where you, I think. Did I accidentally get rid of that layer? No, there it is. So I think you. Yeah, I can use this guy. Let's just go in with X-Gen. Move you out of the way. Let's just do that. That might legit be all we need to do. Let's try that. That's better. It doesn't fill it perfectly, but it does pull it in, which is what we needed. Although it might not be enough. Let's grab this guide as well. Pull you way in. I love how not sensitive it is. You next. Something like that. That means this clump is going to be less defined, but we have less of a gap for the head. Really not listening to us. It's better than it was, but I'd really appreciate it if it just does what it's told. You're the reason. Let's do that. There we go. He was the issue. Okay, so let's save this. No changes to save, really. I love how moving the perspective camera is enough to count as a savable change. Oh, I didn't make the vine brighter. I just need to learn how to set up AOVs. Again, that's something I'll probably do off stream. Just get, like, probably tomorrow, set up a final comp and render out the final image and finally be done. Then start on a new project, which I'll burn out before I'm able to finish. But yeah, the stream will likely end early today, guys. It won't probably end at 11. Maybe 10:30 is a more accurate time for it to end. How much is $640 in pounds? £525. I don't know why only the IPRs have this horrible ID channel thing. I need to go through and actually check the not render settings, but yeah, there we go. That's a little bit better. That fakeness is now too thick. So it's gonna be one of those notes. I mean, maybe it's taking too much attention anyway. Maybe it's just in the wrong place. No, why would I want the guides? Nope. Something like that. Yeah, that feels a bit thicker than it was, I think. Too thick. Come on. I'm trying to move the mouse so gently. There we go. I think that's right. Alright, so let's brighten up the material just a little bit. I don't want it to draw too much attention to itself. Maybe I'll move it further back so it's slightly out of focus, because it is a bit too in focus as well. So let's grab all of those. So it's these two groups. We can delete that stroke now, or the curve even. Delete this, delete you. Combine all these. And let's call this Vine Geo. Delete history on it. There we go. So let's just put it behind him so it's out of focus. Somewhere like there. And then just drag it that way. Maybe we can duplicate these. Put one like there. It's entirely hidden anyway. Perfect. Wait, no, there it is. No, that's not it. It's entirely behind him, isn't it? Perfect. Maybe there. I could do like a little stringy bit attaching to them, but I don't think that's really worth making, to be honest. So let's see how this is looking. Becca, the car guys are just male versions of horse girls when you both hits really hard. I like the pose. Thank you. These renders are so much slower than I posed them though. I've got a feeling that Extra somehow has the original pose stored and is moving it, or just the fact that I'm starting on frame 1001 might be an issue now. Huh. I was scrolling through Facebook on the other screen, and someone shared a VFX tutors tutorial, and I immediately recognised it as Bournemouth Beach. Someone shared a tutorial, and it's Bournemouth Beach. It's 100% Bournemouth Beach.
Could be a student who made it.
Let me just get this over on the other screen. I can't. Yeah, 'cause look, that's the Bournemouth International Centre. There's the zip line. There's the little merry-go-round. That's the hotel we stayed in is there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's totally Bournemouth Beach. That's really cool. There we go, that's the right brightness and distance now. It's just out of focus enough to not draw attention to itself, but just in focus enough to still be visible. I think there's one little branch here that I want to be a little bit more visible, but I can do that out of stream. I'm going to let this render for 10 minutes to get something that's reasonably clean, and I can start doing a basic comp on it on stream, and then after stream I'll leave it render maybe overnight, 3 hours, to get the final clean image. I'll probably end up cropping the image as well quite a lot, because I really prefer that A4 version that my housemate did, or ex-housemate. Miss you, Cole. Come back to the UK. Plus, I haven't seen him since our final year show. I love how someone's literally making sculpting brushes in Substance right now. Have you seen it?
No.
He's making like sculptable brushes that I guess affect the height now. Look at that! Like, it's legit a sculpting brush,
That's cool.
and it's in Substance.
I've always had issues with our height brushes, or you really need to custom them. Like
But yeah, he's recreating ZBrush brushes.
That's
I feel like this vine needs to be doing something more like that. Like, it needs to have more of a kink to it. So I have to wire deform that or something to kind of push it over. Or lattice. I could just lattice deform stuff like that, to be honest. I think value-wise it's working. And how bright are these guys? They are more than 1 pixel, that's good. Oh, they are more than 1 value, that's good. Because it means the glows will work correctly. If I export 32-bit EXR. The value of these is like 5. Well, the actual readout value is like 4, but there will be a pixel in there somewhere that's 5 value. Yeah, I can keep finding 4.5, so. I think the leaves in the foreground are just out of focus enough. Maybe they should be a little bit more in focus. But then I don't need people to be able to tell what they are. They're just kind of like a natural vignetting of the image. I was going to make the hair brighter at one point, but I think that the current darkness of the hair is growing on me. Maybe as a super quick test. So this is the current hair color. Let's do something really disgusting. Rather than repaint the texture and bring that back in and all that horrible stuff. Let's just increase the gain on the shader, which will mean it's no longer energy preserving, but I'm pretty sure it's already cracked higher than it should be anyway. So let's grab, I guess, this guy. And we got the hair blue man. Yeah, the gain. So let's set it to 1.2, transmit to 1.2, and diffuse to 1.2. That might be way too bright. I just want to see if a brighter hair color will help. If it does, then I can just go into the textures again off stream, and that should work. Then I need to learn how to set up AOVs in RenderMan so I can do the final render tonight. Or just do it tomorrow. Set it up in the morning, leave it going. Nice thing about having 16 core CPU is that you can just leave it going. Like, you can give yourself 6 cores and still be rendering in 10, and you have great performance. Let's just see how much brighter this hair looks and if it looks better or not. Is there a flip image in here? Why is Aces not in this list? Weird. It'd be nice if there was a flip image tool. That's a really helpful tool for composition. You should be able to just flip the image. So it's 20% brighter now. We'll see how it cleans up. I might like it. Do you guys have an opinion on the brightness of the fur? Do you prefer the brighter version or the darker version? The annoying thing is with the concept, the brighter version works better on top and the darker version works better on the bottom, which means I just need to map this. So I'll just go into Mari and add a grade. and a ISO map to that grey just to turn it off at the bottom. Becca, what do you think? Bright or dark?
Prefer the dark.
You prefer dark? Cool. Let's just see how this bit refines. Just out of interest. Why are you not letting me? Brighter for you. Why can't I do this? Oh, there it is. One of the many reasons to hate the way the render region works in RenderMan. Right. Everyone seems to disagree with you, Becca.
Alright then.
I'm still not sure which one I prefer. Maybe brighter. Let's just let that clean up and see how it looks. The thing is, I've always trusted Becca's eye.
Maybe not in this case, Mike.
Maybe not in this case, but there's always something that you get that other people don't see, including me. And experience has taught me just to trust your eye, but I don't wanna.
Don't trust it, honestly. I've said things before about this project which you've disagreed with.
Let's get a clean image to compare to. There it is. Drag you down. Oh, I need to move the debris in the hair as well. You like the contrast of a brighter one? Yeah. Okay, let's kill that render. So this is, without comp, the final version of the image. I am tempted to bring the foreground into a little bit more focus, which is difficult because that means bringing the whole image more in focus, unless I do the most horrible hacky thing. So if you guys want to be disgusted in me, and Becca, this is a nice trick if you ever want to force something. So if you like the way a thing looks, you don't want to move your camera, but you want something to be more focus, and there is no middle ground. So currently, if we look at the render, there is nothing that connects visually the foreground leaves to the background or middle ground, right? So what I can do is if I select everything that's in the foreground, which is foreground group in my case, yeah, I'm just going to hide the box. So if I grab foreground group, get the scale, let's modify center pivot. If you move this scale to be on the camera, you can scale it relative to the camera. Because that moves it forward, that puts it more in focus. So visually, it looks identical, but it'll be more in focus. It'll be too large in the scene, but it works. So if I scale it from the pivot, the camera, there's a way to snap it, but I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's around there somewhere. So now, if I just scale, that would be more in focus now. And maybe because of the size of this guy, that's actually a correct scale, but if I undo that, that's literally all that changed. It wasn't perfectly in line, but like the difference between these two, is relatively saying the same. So it allows me to basically move it in focus. It's horrible, absolutely horrific. but it works, and that's sometimes all sometimes all you need. Um, this is a bad thing to do, by the way. Never do this in production. Just move your camera and don't be lazy, but it works. And that now should be in focus, or more in focus. I need to move the light blocker to accommodate that though. So let's just scale it up. Okay, and now if we go into here, I'm going to save this as a new scene because I do not want that to stay, just in case. Go into render man, IPR that. Visually they should look pretty much identical. If any professionals are watching right now, they will judge me so heavily for that though. It's the most horrible thing. Yeah, that's the thing, like, because I'm not moving the camera. If I was moving the camera, that illusion would immediately break. Like, if I animated this camera, you would be able to tell that that foreground is too big, or too small, or whatever it is. I think technically because of the scale of this character, I can get away with that scale, but obviously that makes the leaves in the background way the wrong scale now. But the thing is, now I can do the same in the background. If I want them to be more out of focus, I can just scale them to be more out of focus from the camera. It's a surprising amount of horrible tricks you can do like that. I wish I could say I've learned it from previs, but annoyingly I know that from personal projects in the past. Specifically a comp project I did ages ago. I couldn't get something to be quite in focus the way that everything else was, like my camera lineup just wasn't quite there. I was able to hack everything else into place, but one object didn't tie it all together, so I just scaled it from the camera, and it worked fine. It just meant that the comp was a little bit weird, but it turned out in the end. I can't remember exactly which project it was, though. I think it was the Sphere project. So this weekend I should have hidden the groom when I started that, but... And obviously that scale trick doesn't work if you're using subsurface. It doesn't work if you're using 3D based texture projection, which most of the things in RenderMan are. So use it very, very sparingly. And if you can get away with not using it, just do that. Like, strictly speaking, I could have gotten away with that by moving the camera. Like if I moved the camera and the foliage closer to the face, and then moved the focal distance to be on the eye again, it would technically work. But then the problem is I'd have to line up the face again, and you know, if you don't want to change your focal length, that can be quite difficult. Like, you know, rather than just scaling that one object, the workaround would be a lot of steps to get basically the same image. Yeah, my specialism is hacky shit. It's a running joke I've got with quite a few other people, just like how stupid some of the stuff I do is, but it works, so who cares?
Fair, I've done some hacky shit before.
Oh, you're great with hacky as well.
Like a bird.
Bird? Which bird?
Really? Remember from Cars and Peace?
I can't remember what you did.
It was like a tape thing and I had to like mask it, so I just rendered it with shadow.
Oh yeah.
Made some shadow masks.
So there's two disgusting things I've done so far in this. I've set the gain of the hair to be higher than 1, just to get it brighter, rather than just making the textures brighter. Because I could have done the same thing by literally grading the textures in the hypershade. And I've also scaled the leaves relative. But now they're more in focus. Now they feel more like leaves. They're also brighter, so I'm going to let them resolve a little bit. But now you can actually feel like the two different leaves there, rather than this blobby mess. You can feel it here as well, so that helps quite a lot, I think. It also puts the stick slightly more in focus, but now it's just a black shadow across, so I might just have to remove him.
Looks like a salad.
What's that?
It's like
Satellite. I think I prefer the slightly more in focus one, because it's not in focus, it's just better. It just feels less like a blobby mess.
Jesus.
What?
Shorts is on fire.
What? What's on fire?
My uncle's workplace.
You okay?
Yeah, it's crazy.
He's not there, right?
No, but they're kind of hanging on by a thread as it is. I actually thought it was Titanic Studios because it's right beside Titanic.
Oh, really?
So like the photo looks like Titanic Studios is on fire.
Right, let's leave that to render for a bit. There's a few things I'm going to paint in. I'm going to paint the gaps in the lips. I'm going to paint the reflections in the eyes, just because getting those will take too long. I'm going to paint this nostril back in, because he got lost along the way. It's just a lighting angle on that. Also, the nostril isn't deep; it doesn't go in properly. So maybe I should have done that properly, but a bit too late to make that sort of model change. And technically, it's not. I can just pull it in, but don't want to mess about with displacement anymore. I'll just paint in the line. Again, because it's a still, you can get away with a lot. I like the way these two leaves layer now. It's not too blurry. I think once I got a vignette on this, to really pull focus into the eyes and got the glow in these, it will really look quite pretty. Values are working quite nicely now. It's now the brightest parts of the image, excluding this shoulder, because I need to vignette just to subtly lower this. Like, I think I'm going to vignette basically around the face and a super soft fade. It's like something like this in the corners. These having a glow will pull your eye quite a lot. The reflections in the eyes, I mean, naturally humans look at eyes anyway, so this will, because of the contrast in the tone, like it's all blue, 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 bright orange. So that will pull your eye quite a bit.
I have a mode you can have.
What, sorry?
I have a mode you can have. Oh.
Is that person driving a blender?
Just something. I thought that it was a Maya.
Shut up.
No.
Can you do a Houdini and disappear?
Hello.
Ah.
No, I'm not soft enough.
That made no sense.
Because it disappeared.
Can you just nuke it? I was gonna marry you, but now when I knew. You kept saying I look like Jimmy Neutron. What other programs do I have?
Is that your mantra?
I don't have any other ones.
Apparently the other one softwares. Catania not.
Look, Becca, we really need to talk about the substance abuse. We're getting so many judging, like, well, there's no comments yet, but I'm sure there'll be some judging comments about these puns. This section of the groom is actually quite successful, and I don't know why. Because normally this hole here I'd want to fill, but I think it kind of ties it together, weirdly. I think if that hole was like filled with a clump, it would look too busy. This negative space helps quite a lot. This negative space isn't great. Maybe I can just sketch in some little lines. I'm also going to do some hand-painted stray hairs, just to get like exact curly shapes. I feel like I want to make the background darker. Because currently the face and the background are roughly the same value. This image needs some pink in it. I can't just add flowers. Oh, I could just add flowers. I'm going to search bush flowers. What can we get? This could be super interesting. Maybe not this dense. I feel like pink would really tie us together, maybe if I had some kind of thing happening around it. Maybe like one here, one there. One just peeking in the side. I'll try sketching it. Leave this rendering for another 5 minutes. Maybe I'll do a stream tomorrow doing the comp, because it's getting to the point I don't want to just push through everything tonight now. So I can leave like a final render going tomorrow. So maybe like sketch something out for the flowers if I want to do them or not. If I do, very quickly model some basic stuff in. Maybe even use Paint Effects petals and just scatter a few together and put basic pink surface shader on there. They're not in the reference, but it could be quite cool. Might try blurring the background a bit more as well. But again, I'll do that in painting. And just see if it works. If it does, then I'll do the scale from the camera trick. But some pink would really help this image, because it's currently just so dominated by two tones. Although adding pink would pull your eyes away from the focal. So maybe it's better just to darken the background, composition-wise. This is why it's good to have concept artist friends. They tend to just understand this. Oh, maybe the pink can go on these. These little silver dots. Maybe they can be pink. Because that would be super subtle. It'd just be a very subtle accent. Oh, that could work. If only I didn't merge the fucking meshes. Now I have to separate them and combine them back together based on where I want the shaders to go. I'd like to see the comp. Yeah, I think I'll stream the comp tomorrow. It won't be a long one, because I just want to get it done, to be honest. I'm dead on this project now. There's a lot of things that I wish I did differently. And it's kind of like the project's got to that point where I don't want to spend the time on it. I feel like I'm not going to get, it's going to be marginal improvements from here on out. So I may as well just get something out and move on to the next project. It's better to finish a project than to wait for perfection. I do think pink would work really well on these though, so I'm going to try painting that. Definitely. Adding this little vine here is kind of cool. It's just a little detail to hide behind. The sky should maybe be brighter. These grey looking dots are actually the sky, like fake sky thing I did. But again, like maybe if I make these brighter, it's just going to pull the image away from here. So currently the image is really good at making you look at this guy, because everything other than him is green. So he is like, no matter where your eye is, it's like, oh, this bit's green. Oh, so is this bit, so is this bit, so is this bit. This bit's not, and your eye will just go straight back there. And then it's between the eye, this guy, this guy, this guy. And for me, it was to the ear from there, and then it kind of cycles around the whole head. It's not an intentional composition thing, but we've kind of got like this interesting shape. Like if you follow this silhouette, the hair flow kind of takes you down. Like these little bright sections point that way, so it kind of pulls you with it. Definitely not intentional. I'm not going to be one of those artists who tries to put a golden ratio to everything. Like this isn't golden ratio. I'm not going to force a spiral on top of it, but those really annoy me when people like force the golden ratio over images and like, see, it's composition. It's like, no, it's accidental. Chances are you didn't plan every golden ratio on this staircase. But yeah, I think this kind of helps a little bit. It's interesting. I just need more glow and more vibrancy. But that's not the sort of stuff you can get in rendered that easily. It's sometimes easier just to comp that. I don't mean like the glow around these guys, I mean like the value difference is just, it's quite small. Like it's got contrast here where we need it, because your eye is pulled to contrast, but there's not much contrast in like all of the rest of the image. I do feel like the background should be darker now that I'm looking at it more. I do feel like this needs some pink, just for little accents to make it not so dull and boring. Maybe I can literally just paint that in though. I don't necessarily need to render it, I can just put a little colorized layer of pink right over these dots. I want to paint some really interesting pattern around this guy, because this guy, to me, his eyes are looking at this guy, which is why he's placed where he is. So maybe I should make him more interesting than the other fireflies in some way, like maybe give him a more like powerful like aura, like glow around him. Well, you have the glow on the fireflies in comp. Yeah, definitely. The pixel value of these guys is like 4 and 5, just because I've put so much emission on them. So that makes glow like super easy. As long as I export 32-bit, I can just put a glow node and it'll automatically detect these as something that need to glow a lot. Vignetting is easy, you just need to roto that. I'll do a test paint before I do all that comp stuff to kind of give myself a visual target. Because I can't paint for shit, but everyone can do a glow. It's just a soft brush and click to get a very basic glow. Not one that looks great, but the way that my housemate painted them looks fantastic. Like, I'll get that image back. Where is it? So this image, the way he painted the glow, it's just beautiful. Like, I love this. Like maybe the one that's directly in front of his eyes, like this guy, should be the one that's super interesting, and the rest of them have a more standard glow, just to give him a reason to look at that specific one. And also the A4, ratio is really nice. I'm definitely gonna try to get this pink in there somewhere. Right, I'm going to end the stream here, guys. Expo Glow is great in Nuke. Not heard of Expo Glow, although I'm not going to be using Nuke just because I'm limited to resolution, and this guy is higher than the resolution that they allow. So I'd have to half the resolution of him in both axes, so a quarter the resolution of this current image to do that. And I don't want to do that. But yeah, anyway, so I'm going to end the stream here, guys. I'll pick up another stream tomorrow just to finish off the project. And then at some point I'll render some turntails, and then we'll be starting on a new project after that. Starting on the FKA Twigs thing. Which is, it's actually quite nice, because this is stream 19, which means that when we do our stream tomorrow it'll be stream 20, and it's a nice random to end on. Yeah, it's a very nice number to end on. But yeah, alright, well, it's a gizmo, okay. Cool. Yeah, I'll check it out. I'll see if there's any gizmos for Natron as well, because I will be using Natron for this. It's just, it's free. I don't want to pay for these sorts of comps. Like if I was a comp artist or freelance comper, then yeah, I'd pay what Nuke asks for, but I just want to comp an image, a still image of a render that I've done in RenderMan. Like, But yeah, you have a good night too, mate. I hope everyone's enjoyed the stream. I'll see you guys tomorrow if you want to come by again. If not, then hopefully see you on one of the future streams. Bye, guys.